Hi, Film Addicts. Welcome to the show. Today we have a very special segment spotlight on rising young stars in Hollywood. And today we have a very special guest, Suhana Chander, and she's up and coming television writer and indie director. And she's currently a showrunner's assistant on Apple TV's Plus Surveillance before she was a showrunner's assistant at Peacock's The Resort, and she's recently graduated from the American Film Institute Conservatory with an MFA in screenwriting. Let's welcome Suhana Chander to the show. Suhana, did I say that right?
Yeah, I think I probably confused you further. I put it as Suhanda as like a way to pronounce the Hana part, but there's no D. You were very close.
Suhana. Suhana.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, welcome to the show, Suhana.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here. I was looking forward to it all week.
Oh, we're so happy to have you. And can you let everyone that's listening, because we have listeners around the world, where are we recording with you today?
I am in Los Angeles, California.
Oh, great. So I'm in West Hollywood, you're in Los Angeles. And it's very special because we have this special segment that I started doing where we spotlight up and coming writers and directors and showrunners. I want to get to first, I want to ask you, like, what was your favorite film growing up as a kid?
That's a great question because I feel like people ask that a lot and then you forget every movie you've ever seen. Made like a list of a bunch of movies. But I think one that I when I was really little, I watched all the time was Parent Trap, the one with Lindsay Lohan, and then also, oddly enough, Mean Girls. But my all time favorite movie is Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and I know it's not going to sound like I'm some sort of cinephile because these are like more commercial movies, but yeah, I went to them all the time and watched them. Forgetting Sarah Marshall is still one of my favorite movies.
And so the Parent Trap, that's what that was that Lindsay Lohan's movie, right?
Yeah, it was her first role because in the credits it says introducing Lindsay Lohan.
Ah, wow, yeah. And so you
Yeah.
were watching The Parent Trap, and where did you grow up? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, so like about 45 minutes southwest of the actual city.
Oh, great. And did you have brothers and sisters? Did you go to the
Yeah.
movies with your brothers and sisters, or
Well, I have an older brother. We watched a lot of TV together. And I actually remember there was a movie theater that you could bike to from our house. And I remember biking there. It used to just be a field, and we watched them build it up, the Cinemark. So I would go there with my friends. We would bike and walk there, and then get some ice cream after, which was a lot of fun. My earliest memory of a movie I saw in theaters was with my grandfather and my brother, my cousins. We saw Mulan in theaters, the animated movie. And we must have been one of the first people in there because my grandpa told us that he rented out the whole theater just for us, but it was like a matinee, so no one else was there. Just but I believed him. I was like, wow, he's so powerful.
I liked your grandfather. He's got style. And you're like, wow, look, VIP. You know what? That's really special. Like where he made you kids feel like this is for you, my beautiful kids. That you know what? The power of the imagination and just
Oh yeah,
taking people into that world and such a gift like beautiful films. And Mulan, we love Mulan, the girl that became the soldier and to
yeah.
go, yeah, and so we're going to ask you. So, was there a favorite Criterion film that just inspired you to go on your path to become a showrunner's assistant and a director?
I mentioned before I studied film in undergrad. I also studied film in grad school, and I don't know if it's just because I have a horrible memory. I've seen all these great movies and I have appreciated them, but I really do think, um, like I guess if I were to choose someone that's on the Criterion collection, maybe Wes Anderson's movies. Just very stylized. His voice is very. You can always tell. You always know what you're going to get into with his films, and his writing is just so specific. But I think a lot of the inspiration for me growing up came from TV. We were the type of family, my mom loved to sit at the table and gab about the day, but try as she might, the rest of us, my dad and my brother and I loved sitting in front of the TV watching all these family sitcoms. I watched like Everybody Loves Raymond, like Family, or My Wife and Kids, all of those. And Saturday Night Live. It's like that joke of like, how far can you stay awake past the monologue? But no kid could really ever do that. But Saturday night was actually like one of my biggest dreams for a while, was to be a writer on SNL. And my cousin and I, who I'm actually in the process of co-directing a short with, we would make little sketches just with her dad's VHS or videotape recorder. So it was more, I would say it was more television than anything.
And which is funny enough that you are now a TV showrunner's assistant. So that's
Yeah,
fabulous. Yeah. So you're making these little VHS tapes with your brother, right? And then so how did you
my
go
cousin.
your cousin? So then did
Mhm.
so you're in Chicago and then you applied did you know that you wanted to be a director or writer and you applied to American AFI, American Film Institute?
I knew I wanted to be a writer. I didn't know I wanted to be a director. And honestly, I've directed two, maybe three times now. And I still feel like I'm in the process of learning, because when I went to the American Film Institute, I went for writing. So in Chicago, I studied just international film and media, like the basics at Loyola in the city. And I graduated in 2015, moved to Los Angeles. It was either New York or Los Angeles. New York is very expensive, and I have an aunt that lives in Los Angeles, so I moved in with her. And I just didn't know. It's just sort of that thing of like, I know what I want to do. I don't know where to begin, and I don't know anyone that can point me in the right direction. And so I was very lucky to have gotten into the American Film Institute. And this is after a few years of working in entertainment publicity, and I worked as a post-production coordinator. And I was very lucky to get into the American Film Institute, and that's really where like a lot of doors opened for me. And I interned so much more than we're allowed to, so much more than they probably know that I interned. Just because I met so many people, and so now that's how I got a lot of the opportunities I got out of school, was just by meeting so many people that way. I felt a little lost before that, because I didn't know what the game plan was, because I didn't know where to get started, and going to grad school really helped.
Yeah, it's so funny when you say you intern a little more as opposed to, and I was like, I identify with that. Like, how many intern? Because every time it's like, oh, we just hired the last person, so you're just gonna be intern. We can't hire any more people. And then you're like, oh, gee, thanks.
Yeah, right.
Working for free again. But you do get to meet a lot of people. So you went to AFI, which is the American Film Institute Conservatory, with an MFA in screenwriting. And I'd like to share a little bit. You have a production company, Four Way High Five Films. I like that name. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you did. It's me. It's three of my closest friends and myself, which is also an understatement, because one of them's my cousin. She's my best friend. The other one is my fiance. I guess he's also my best friend, of course. And then his best friend, Matt. So the four of us, we just decided we all work in entertainment in varying parts, and we wanted to go make stuff, because it's a lot. It's If you have the means, or if you don't even, the first one we made was in a bathroom, in my cousin's bathroom in her apartment. That was the only location, super cheap to do, just because we wanted to make stuff. And it's hard in this industry to get the okay to make stuff. So we just decided, okay, we're gonna get together every year, pitch ideas, see which one we can roll with, which one we can afford to roll with, and then go out and make it. So what I bring to the table is I am the writer. I don't write all of them. We switch off doing what, because then we can practice different things. But I learned all the structure and all that stuff with writing. So that and directing. My cousin is a post producer or post supervisor. She's very up there when it comes to editing and stuff. And my fiance, he is a freelance first AC. He used to work at he used to work at an equipment rental place. And then Matt is a licensed entertainment attorney, and he has a ton of experience producing. So we just kind of brought all of our strengths together, and it's been super fun so far. There's a magic in filmmaking, but it's even more special when you do it with people you love.
and that everyone shows up when you're
Yeah.
doing the event. Because I mean, as an indie filmmaker, if anyone knows any funny stories, is it was like every time that I did indie short, like there would be brand new people that I didn't know, and then somebody says, "Oh, I have a camera." Anyone that said they had a camera, you're like, "Oh yeah," and there was, and they weren't asking for money, and you didn't even know if they knew how to shoot, and you're like, "Yes, you're in." And but sometimes you get people that would have the camera, but they just didn't end up being like great shooters. So, but everyone's like, "Oh, you make a great producer," because I would get like the antique sports cars, like super expensive convertible sports cars. I got the James Dean convertible Porsche. I got
Nice.
homes, multi-million-dollar homes with like jacuzzis and waterfalls, and I have no insurance. And so you're like, nobody wrecked the car, nobody did the car. You're just
Yeah.
like worried about all these things.
Right.
And then like I had like over $1,400 worth of wardrobe, and you're thinking, oh yeah, I've got police uniforms and the rifles and machine guns, and like, but we don't have permits. We're shooting in the Hollywood Hills above the Hollywood
Yeah.
sign. We're hiding the fake machine guns, and then like all the little pins and details on the sheriff uniform from the FBI. And it was like just keeping track of all the uniforms when I'm already the writer, the director, my
Yeah.
own my own AD, my own PA, my own craft service and wardrobe, and then I had to help people with their lines that didn't show up. So it's just the fact that you can even break through out of the indie world is amazing, because like it's so hard and difficult.
I do. I feel very grateful that I've met so many people, and especially the obviously the three other people in Four Way High Five that are as hungry and as willing and have like the actual literal tools to do these things, but also the talent. But yeah, because everyone on the set we're on now, we all we all know each other in some capacity. I think the only person that was brand new, aside from the actors that we found on backstage, is our amazing sound mixer. And again, like if you have a set of people that know each other really well, and it's for good vibes, because it's very easy to go downhill quick on a set. We he just feels like one of the gang now too, so it's just like it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of
Yeah, that sounds so wonderful. And like, so what kind of writing do you have a writing style, or do you is your have like
fun.
what kind of writing do you do?
I typically do comedy, even when I'm trying not to. I think just the way that I speak in general, I tend to throw a joke in there. Maybe it's a coping mechanism. I don't know, but I do comedy. I like to focus on coming of age stories. I like to say coming of age at any age, because I do like to write about um, older people. I think that there's something very special about people finding themselves at a later age. And then I also like to do like family comedies. Not family comedies like for like kids and that, but like stories about families and their relationships. And a lot of that can be very dark, and so the humor you find in the moments you're not supposed to laugh, that's what I'm drawn to as a viewer, and that's also what I like to write.
Great. So I'm gonna go back a little bit. So like
Sure.
so you're well, I'll go a little bit. So what is your directing style? How are you? What influences on directors, like your favorite directors? And if we love talking about film shots, and if you can tell me a favorite film shot, everyone loves that part of the show.
Oh, really? I like to say that I'm still learning. Um, when it comes to like style, the one thing I said for this one was, because we're co-directing, I'm talking to the actors, and my cousin is working directly with the DP, who is my fiance, trying to figure out the shots. So my style varies depending on the actor, because I want to make sure that we're communicating in a way that works for both of us. Um, but I do like to have a lot of conversations beforehand. I've learned I like to talk about things, because then I like to reference things when we're trying to get certain performances out. Or like I I had a friend who at AFI, she was trying to get we just had like a small project. She was trying to get me to look at a TV like I was like enamored by it, and she just made me think about like fond memories with my partner, and that sort of thing I thought was really great. So I feel like I'm still in the process of adopting different things that I see here and there. When it comes to shots, what shot do I really like? What was I just In terms of like camera, I'm not sure, but I know that like in Eternal Sunshine, you know, when they switch to, they're going through their memories and then they land on a bed, but the bed is in Montauk on the beach. That stark just difference. It's all white basically. That's what we have framed out in the dining room. Actually, it's beautiful. I love that shot. In terms of like camera movements, one thing that always sticks out to me is in the beginning of The Shining. I don't know if people bring this up a lot, but I learned that was the first, I believe, use of Steadicam when they're going through the mountains there. And I always thought that was beautiful, even though the movie's crazy. But it's one of my. I don't like scary movies, but it's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah,
That one
yeah,
a lot.
has like that good creepy vibe. My friend actually took me to the place where they shot that scene. It was in Hollywood, and he goes, "This is where they filmed that scene in The Shining." And I was like, "Ah, the little kids riding the bicycle and the tension building." The way the director built that tension in that scene, him just riding down that long hallway and just real creepy. So yeah, just a camera movement is part of storytelling, and it's almost like writing, like editing. All these things just add up to just like great storytelling. And I want to talk a little bit like your journey on explaining to people a little bit about like your show running path, because that's very interesting. Because for the TV world, can you explain to people how important showrunners are to a TV project?
Oh yeah, they are. I mean, I don't want to put anyone above anyone else, but they are probably the most important. They're the decision makers. Oftentimes, the showrunners are the creator of the show, and to be clear, I'm a showrunner's assistant, so I am not that. But they're in like the writers' room. They're basically you're writing for the showrunner. So if I was a staff writer and I'm writing for this specific showrunner show, they give me the okay in terms of the story, in terms of voice, and like outline script. They okay everything before it goes on, and then they work with the directors, but they hire the directors, and then they make sure every other aspect of the show is in line with their vision. So it's a lot of work, both in the writers' room, and then when you go into pro, everything, they're the decision makers. My experience with showrunners has been amazing so far. I've been very lucky. I've worked on 2 shows with 3 showrunners total as their assistants. And it's been a great learning experience, especially because I would like to show run my own show in the future, just to see all of the little details that go into it, all the things you need to be able to be good at as like a leader, as a communicator, getting everyone to work well together in the room. But if my job as a showrunner's assistant is pretty administrative, I would say, but sometimes I do get thrown different tiny writing projects, maybe like helping write part of an outline, or when I was in the last show, I helped write part of an outline, and I also like helped card some things. And I was lucky enough to be able to sit in the writer's room, which is a huge learning experience for someone that wants to be in a writer's room but has never been. You just kind of get to be a fly on the wall. In that room, I got to occasionally pitch. You don't want to pitch too much, but I did, and everyone was very nice and supportive. Even if it was a bad pitch, they would just say, "Oh, maybe," and that was nice enough. But yeah, I mean, it's a good first step in the direction if you want to be a staff writer and then a showrunner in general.
And could you share a little bit about like you were showrunner assistant for 3 different shows? Like what was like one was at NBC, one's at Apple. Is there differences in them? Or are they all kind of sort of maybe do the same similar thing, or is there different styles?
In terms of like their show running style?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, it's interesting. So it's actually I was on 2 shows. The first show, The Resort, there were 2 showrunners, and actually this one there are 2 showrunners as well. I only assist one of them. So the first show, it was because the one showrunner who was the creator of the show, it was his first time as a showrunner, and typically they want to like pair you with someone who's more seasoned, so that you kind of have like some guidance and stuff. The one I'm on now, it's actually the season has ended, so I actually signed on after like so the show Severance, and the season's over, so now basically most of my job is getting him all these interviews, or like coordinating all these interviews, because it's doing great. I mean, it's a great show. He's getting a lot of interviews, but I think just based off of I guess I don't have a lot of different experiences, but the first one was great. Everyone was invited into the room. A lot of the times you hear showrunners, assistants, and aren't allowed in the rooms, nor they're allowed to like talk ever. The one I was in was amazing, and I think it's because both the showrunners. Oh, hold on.
This is live recording. We have fun.
Yeah. The reason I think that they were so supportive of support staff. Oh man, hold on. Hey, you can come in. Okay, one sec. All right, I'm so sorry. We're gonna take a trip through my apartment because I've locked my fiance out. I told you he was my best friend, right?
So if you're showrunner's assistant, don't lock your fiance
exactly.
outside the room, especially when you're recording. But this is the fun part of the show. It's like the wild cards. Our audience is like, everything goes from grandfather clocks chiming to dogs drinking water in the background. But one day we'll be in that. Well, it's a little bit easier. I think people want to work from home. So this is some of the joys when you work from home. You get this is that real reality slice of life. Like, people have husbands, boyfriends, dogs to walk, kids, and it's all part of our reality show slice of the show.
Nice. I mean, it's been really nice. But the thing that I was going to say is I had a really positive experience. I think because my bosses both came from being assistants as well. They were very eager to teach, and they were very eager to let me be part of things and learn by doing, which I appreciate a lot. Same with my boss now. It's just things that we're just in a different phase of the show. So, but I get to ask him all these questions. I'm very open with, and this is a tip I would say, is if there's something you want to be a part of or sit in on, or even just asking questions, you should just go for it. Like, there are calls about various like social media campaigns and things like that, and it doesn't really it has nothing to do with my job now, but I just asked him if I can sit in on it because I want to learn, because that's something that I'll have to do, knock on wood, in the future. And he's very open about me joining anything. I just sit quietly and I watch and I listen and I learn.
Oh, that's great. And like, can we plug them a little bit and give them some love on Severance? Like, so you can say, hey,
oh yeah, okay. So my boss is Dan Erickson. My boss is Dan Erickson. He's awesome. He's a great writer, crazy talented mind. The show Severance, it's on Apple TV Plus. It's, I think episode 7 came out today, or like at midnight. It's a really great show. If you have Apple TV Plus, you should watch it. If you don't, you should get it. Because I'm enjoying reading all the tweets of the theories of the show. It's so just for my sake, at least. But no, it's really fun. It's really cool being part of a show that is being so warmly received by the public. So, and I'm really happy for him.
Yeah, and the public, it's interesting when you do podcasts, like they give you your rankings every week, and this Film Addicts just skyrocketed, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm hitting number 1. So thank you, listeners, for listening. I'm bringing you great guests. I hope you appreciate how much work that is. And then like my children's podcast, like I didn't even know it hit top 1%. And like one of the guests came on the show and go, Marilyn, did you know your show? And I was like, what? No. And like I saw number 1 in country. So I feel so responsible now, like making great content for kids and all around the world. So I feel like it's just a joy that kids and parents are listening to that. But Suhana, are you finished with your little film that you're not like your little film, your film that you're doing? It's a short, right? And
it's a short. No, we filmed half of it. We have the second half of filming next weekend. And then we'll move on into post, hopefully be done shortly after that.
And we're
almost there.
Yeah, where can people see your stuff, like your films that you're working on? Where can they keep up with you? Like, how do they see what you're doing?
Oh yeah, I mean, if you want to follow me on Instagram, my handle is at Suhana so it's SUHANANANA. We our Four Way High Five Films also has its own Instagram. If you want to keep tabs of our short and our first short Coping is on there to check out. And I also have a website called SuhanaChander.com. You can check out some of my log lines for the various samples I have. And if anyone is interested, I am also repped at 3 Arts Entertainment.
And that's not that's very very prestigious. So that's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So and then what else you working on? Anything that you want to share with our audience before you go?
I'm nothing like I'm. We're always writing, right? But so I'm working on my next pilot, which is a workplace comedy. But that's not something anyone can see anytime soon. If anyone wants to read it, they can reach out to me. It's set. I go camping a lot. I love camping.
Oh.
Um, yeah, and you meet some really funny, colorful people that both work there and that are staying there, either long term or short term. So it's about the people that work at the state park at the campsite.
Oh, I love it, my dad
Yeah.
was a park ranger, so yeah,
Oh,
he was a pilot in the Navy, but the hearing, he couldn't be commercial pilot, so yeah,
yeah.
and that's how I, like, wrote my stories because I lived 20 miles away from kids, I had no one to play with, so I had to just invent characters, so sometimes, yeah, so, like, yeah, had no one was gonna drive their kid 20 miles to go play with you, right?
Yeah. Well, listen, the stories are good. I checked out that one too, and it is fun. So if you have kids, listen to it. If you don't have kids, it's also still fun to listen.
Yeah, and so, I just wanna share again, like, so well, quickly, just like, you did can we talk a little bit about, we have a little few more minutes to talk about your NBC if you wanna talk about your showrunner
Oh
experience.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That show's also great, and I would love to plug it. They're filming right now. So my bosses were Allison Miller and Andy Ciara. Andy came up with the show. Also wrote the film Palm Springs with Andy Samberg, just to give you an idea of his like sensibility, sense of humor. The show is great. It's called The Resort. It'll be on Peacock. I probably should know when because I was in the know of all these things. I think it's going to be on Peacock at like the end of the year. But you should definitely rely on Peacock's ads more than what I'm saying. But it is a hilarious show. It's a mystery and it explores love and romantic relationships and time, the disappointment of time, just a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff packed in there. The writers room was amazing. We still hang out if we can, which is cool. um, I was really lucky to have that be my first experience outside of grad school inside of a writer's room. Really love those people.
Well, Suhana, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Such a bright, bright future for you, whether you're going to be a showrunner,
Yeah.
maybe you'll do it all showrunner, writer, director. Maybe we'll work together on something. And just such a pleasure to have your show. And can you repeat your handle for the audience?
Oh yeah, I know it's a mouthful. So on Instagram, it's at SuhanaNana. So it's Suhana Nana. I made that when I was like 16, I think. And then on Twitter, I'm just at Suhana Chander, which is my first and last name. And yeah, I have a website again, SuhanaChander.com. It is full of kid pictures of myself because I'm not the best website builder, but I made up for it with pictures of myself with a unibrow and all those things.
Yeah, and the information is going to be in the summary below too. So I just want to thank our
Oh, great.
audience for tuning in today to our rising young Hollywood star, Suhana Chander, who has a bright future ahead of her. Showrunner's assistant, writer, and director. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's been a pleasure to have you.
It was just so much fun. I can't wait to listen to it. I've listened to Filmatics. Great, great podcast. Thank you so much for having me on.
You're welcome. And to our audience, thank you so much and have a fabulous week. Come on back and listen to the new one.